This is the Out of Order podcast, cutting through the political chat.
Hello, and welcome to the Out of Order podcast. I'm Grace.
And I am Jack.
Hello, Jacqueline.
Oh, that's not very nice. That's not my name.
Well, you know, I've missed you so much. It's been a long 2 weeks.
I've missed you too, yeah. It's been quite a traumatic 2 weeks, isn't it?
It has. It definitely has. We've had exams and, yeah, uni's just been pretty full on, so that's why we've not brought you anything new over the last 2 weeks.
But we return with a very special episode.
Yes, Brexit Day.
It is Brexit Day. We're recording on Brexit Day, Friday the 31st of January.
Yes.
With about 10 hours to go until Brexit Day actually happens. How are you feeling?
Honestly, the excitement, I can't even contain it.
No?
I can't. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't sleep last night. I'm ready to get to that Big Ben and ring that big bell.
Gonna give Big Ben a good old bonging, are we?
A Big Ben bonging with that big bell on Brexit Day.
No, this episode is special because we're going to combine the PMQs we missed on the 22nd with this week's PMQs. So we're going to have two for the price of one.
Aye, BOGOF.
Might be a little bit of a longer episode as well if you're lucky.
Brexit Day BOGOF.
What more could you want? All the bees.
Right, so we shall start with not this week's PMQs, last week's. The 22nd of January was the last PMQs. Yeah, and just go over our highlights and our best bits from that one.
Same structure, just two PMQs.
Yeah.
What's not to love?
And a bit more lively than we have been. We've been getting pretty intense.
Yeah, I feel like it's been all political chat, which is exactly what we plan to cut through.
And we've fallen into the hole.
We've done it all wrong.
Yeah, we have.
We've done it all wrong.
So this is a new. Effectively, this is a new Britain as of tomorrow. So this is a new us now.
Yeah.
We're starting afresh.
Yep.
This is going to be a new style.
The only way is up.
The only way is up.
Exactly.
Baby. Right.
So, Grace, would you like to start us off?
Yes. So, Jezzy.
The old JC.
JC.
The one and only.
He was on one on the 22nd of Jan.
Was it?
2020. I'm going to say 2019 then. Yeah, it was at his best in terms of standing up for the people.
Okay.
Very much on his social justice bandwagon and ploughing straight through the PM, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah, he stood up halfway through the little, interchange that they have at the beginning.
The little tiff.
The little lovers tiff.
Indeed.
And said, wouldn't it be great if the Prime Minister answered a question on universal credit? And he put this question to Boris on multiple occasions. And that he's dodged every question on the topic so far. And, Jeremy was delivering some really heavy stats and some hard-hitting stats.
I do love a stat.
Yeah, well, he said that more than 500,000 children are in poverty now than there were in 10 years ago in 2010,
wow.
Which obviously is horrendous and is shocking. And he said the amount of kids in deprivation has also shot up.
Okay. See,
this is where PMQs frustrates me.
Okay.
Because then Boris stood up and was like, well, no, there's less children in poverty than there was 10 years ago.
What?
It's this whole misinformation thing. Is it right or is it wrong?
Well, somebody here is not telling the truth.
Exactly.
Unless the numbers stayed exactly the same, then they're both lying.
This is the thing.
So
I think
somebody here.
we need an in-house fact checker at PMQs, because it's honestly, if you just sit and watch this, you don't know what to believe. I don't know what you take away.
I think you found a gap in the market. That's a Dragon's Den idea.
What?
I'd be pitching that.
So I'll go sell myself and be like, can you employ me, please? I need a job. I'll be the PMQ fact checker.
I love how you struggle to pronounce that.
It's the t. I can't do the t. I'm lazy when I speak.
Some very difficult sounds.
Yeah. But on the topic of universal credit, obviously it's had a massive effect on people's lives up and down the country. And it just made me think about, like, just before Christmas, I did some work at St George's Crypt on a story down there. And the amount of people, so St George's Crypt is a place in Leeds that offers support for homeless people. But the amount of people that came up to me and I was asking them their situation and why they'd ended up needing to use the service. And I would say more than half the people there were saying, well, I'm on universal credit and I have to choose between paying my rent or eating. every week. And honestly, just to sit there and listen to these people's stories of, well, before universal credit, before it was all streamlined, because that's effectively what Ian Duncan Smith did by bringing it in. Before it was all streamlined, I could afford to do this, still living very minimally, but now they're put in a position where they're choosing.
Right.
So these people, mostly men who I spoke to, were saying that they will pay their rent and then they'll come to Crib to have something to eat, which is just shocking that it's 2020 and people are in that situation. It's just really, it's astonishing.
Yeah.
And, well, this is the kind of what I've touched on over and over again since, the red wall got broken down. That these Conservative MPs, well, every MPs in all areas, they're going to have to look these people in the eyes and tell them what they're going to do and how they're going to work for them, which, it needed to happen because you don't realise quite how bad or quite what effect changes are having on the ground until you experience it firsthand.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more than just words, though, isn't it? Because I could sit here and say to you, I'm going to make your benefits easier, quicker, you're going to get more of them. But if I don't actually do it, what's the point? So I fully get what you're saying. Like, MPs now have, particularly Conservatives who were in previous Labour seats, as you were saying with the red wall, it's a different party with different beliefs and different opinions on benefits, frankly. They've now got to justify their actions over the next 5 years. So it'll be interesting to see how a party that isn't traditionally in favour of expanding benefits or
the nanny state
has introduced something like universal credit, which was meant to make benefits more streamlined and easy to access, but has had teething problems would be an understatement, I think. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the next 5 years, because it's they've got to live by these decisions now. When you're in opposition, or when you're even at a local level, when you're in opposition and it's not your seat, as we've said before, you can say, you can finger point and say you're not doing it right, but it's not your problem because you're not the ones responsible for it. So
absolutely,
good luck to them.
It just worries me, alongside everything that's happened with universal credit and the effect that that's had. The change from DLAs to PIPs has had an absolutely catastrophic effect on people's lives. I mean, my auntie, for example, has learning difficulties, and she claims PIPs and she's claimed DLA. She lived in supported living, and she struggled to qualify for them when they changed them because they made it harder. They made the guidelines or the qualification process harder, and this is like, she can't hold down a job. She can't do what we all take for granted being able to do. And they're just making it so difficult for people like her. Plus, she's being put into supported living, the only place that's available around where we live, and all the flats that are on offer there are 2-bedroom. She's only one person. She has no choice over it, so then she gets the bedroom tax put on top of it. So they're taking away and taking away again with someone who has no choice. She has no choice in the matter.
It's not a system designed to help people like that.
No, it's not. And what
who
it's
need
just
it
like,
most?
well, what can she do? What can she do in that situation? But anyway, heavy stuff.
Indeed. We kind of diverted from we're going to keep it light very quickly, didn't we?
Sorry. I kind of just went on an emotional downhill spiral.
You know what? I've had feedback saying that that's what you're good at. So
rambling?
Yeah, you are good at an emotional rant.
Well, actually, so since they were talking about rambling, the other day we had to practice some audio at university, and me and Jack did one together, and I was Claire Balding rambling.
Oh, no.
And Jack
was wondering what you were talking about.
Jack
I don't remember this
Lady
part.
Walker of Lincolnshire.
Yes, indeed he was.
And if I can get a clip from it, I'm going to play it, because it is the funniest thing. The accent that he does is just so funny, and it will brighten up your day and also lift you up from that emotional rant that I just went on. So,
wasn't one of my finest points, but
you've had many not so fine moments.
Oh, thank you, Grace. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that.
So, do you want to go on to your favourite bit from the 22nd of Jan?
My question of the week.
Your
Are
question.
we on the question of the week section?
Question of the week.
We need a jingle. We need to get Darren to do another jingle.
Question of the week.
Question of the week. Yes, mine was from the Labour Halifax MP Holly Lynch, who asked, will the Prime Minister commit to releasing the report on HS2 and commit to the scheme in full? Now, her question made it sound, or the way she phrased her question made it sound like she was in support of HS2, which is fine. I mean, plenty of people are in support of it. Surprised me as a Northern MP being in support of it, given how terrible local rail is up here. I wonder if there's an expert on local rail in this room who could tell us about how bad Northern's been recently.
Don't get me started.
Do you know anybody, Grace?
Don't get me started. Don't trigger me, Jack.
I don't know. I was just wondering if there was somebody around we could talk to about how bad Northern Rail's been
Northern
recently.
Rail is beep, beep, beep.
Oh, it's you, isn't it? Oh, that's who I was looking for.
It's shocking.
Oh.
Shocking. But
by the 22nd, had the Transport Minister announced that they were going to remove Northern's franchise?
No.
Was it this week?
It was this week.
Time is all one now. I don't really know when
There is no such thing as time. It does not exist.
Time is just a man-made construct.
Exactly.
So at that point, we didn't know that Northern's franchise was going to be removed.
Mm-hmm.
So that surprised me that she was in support of
HS2.
HS2 because, without trying to give away my own opinion on it too much, it massively will benefit the South.
Mm-hmm.
With relatively little benefit to the North.
I can't say that I'm particularly an expert on HS2. It seems like it's been around for so long. And in my town, there is posters everywhere saying stop HS2, and they've been up for donkey's years. So it's just been one of them things that I know exist, and it's been burning away in the background, but I've not really paid much attention to it. But I was reading a lot of the Yorkshire Evening Post coverage on it and what they were saying about it and how it's going to massively benefit the North and stuff, and that the North needs to be better connected to the South and stuff. But I don't know. I kind of sat on it for a bit. I read quite a lot about it, and I was like, at the end of the day, this is again my thing that I just rant about all the time.
Here we go.
It's just a class
She's winded
thing.
up for one.
It is. It's a class thing again. Like they say, it's going to benefit the North. Blah 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 blah. It's going to benefit the middle class in the North who need to travel to London frequently for work, or travel to London for whatever the hell you're doing in London. It's not. And then saying, well, it's more job opportunities, so more people go down because it's more feasible to work down south but live up north and blah de blah de blah. But again, only the middle class are going to take these opportunities. How much did he say it's going to cost? 100 and something?
The initial budget was about 50, but it's way over that. It could at least get to 100 billion.
I'm pretty sure that's what he said in this week's PMQs.
The honest answer is we don't know, because costs just keep going up and up and up.
Exactly.
And there doesn't seem to be an end to it.
This is the thing that's frustrating me about just the way we think of politics. It's, bridging that north-south divide. Well, what about investing in north to west? Not north to west, sorry. East to west connections in the north, making them better, making them more feasible, making northern hubs like Manchester, empowering Manchester further, and Manchester and Leeds being better connected, and then bringing in opportunities that way. Because, like I said, it's going to be the middle class that take these opportunities and will thrive off of HS2. And I don't know, it doesn't sit well with me that amount of money is being spent on something that's going to cut a journey by 20 minutes. And yet we've got areas around Yorkshire and around Manchester where people are living in deprivation and people are living on universal credit and are struggling day to day. And as we've seen, The Guardian released a report last week that council budgets are going to be cut further in towns and cities around the north. When are we going to wake up and let these... just stop ignoring people.
This is the second week in a row you've called for the people to wake up. Are you trying to inspire a revolution?
No, I just think that MPs need to stop looking at things as a regional issue, and class divides this country so much in day-to-day life, in politics, in big business, in everything. I can't think of an area where it doesn't. But it's all, let's connect the north and the south, blah, blah, blah. No. Let's give equal opportunity to everybody in this country to succeed. Invest in education more. Invest in healthcare more, because we've got some of the worst education and some of the worst social health up here. So...
Sensing a lot of anger, Grace. Is everything all right? Do we need to talk after the podcast?
I'm just rattled. I don't know why.
Well, I think you kind of touched on the point I was going to make about HS2, that what is the point in increasing a train? Say if you were going from Manchester to London, you would more than likely have to change at Leeds.
Mm-hmm.
Manchester to Leeds is about 50 miles in the car, so it can't be much less than that on a train. And that takes about an hour. And then the journey from Leeds to London, obviously I don't want to try and put a figure on that in terms of distance, because I honestly don't know, but it's obviously more than 50 miles.
It takes an hour and 45 minutes to get from Wakefield Westgate Station to London King's Cross.
Right, that's my point. What is the point in increasing the distance, increasing the journey time between Leeds and London by 20 minutes if it still takes you an hour to get from Manchester to Leeds, which is a very small distance in comparison? It doesn't make sense. Why are we not investing in regional rail first?
Exactly. This is the thing, and so I know this is kind of, well, it is relevant, but I think everyone's like now waking up and thinking, oh yeah, we do need to take more things out of London and put more things in the north and stuff, but they're doing it in such a half-assed way, to be honest with you. Like Channel 4.
What can we chuck up north?
Channel 4's moving to Leeds, but Channel 4's moving to the Majestic, straight smack outside of Leeds train station. So if HS2 comes into play, by the time Channel 4 have fully established themselves in Leeds, they will be able to get from London to the Channel 4 office in an hour and a half. Sometimes you can't get across London in an hour and a half.
Well, if there's a delay on a northern train between Manchester and Leeds, it's at least an hour and a half. And
so
that's a tiny
all
bit of
you're
distance.
doing is creating another little London hub in Leeds, or in wherever you want to say, but for example, Leeds.
But it's not in London.
But it's not in London, and people talk better.
Hey, you've had glowing reviews of your accent, all right? Don't knock it.
And I even posh it up for this podcast.
Do you though?
I do.
Really?
At the minute, I do.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
Because I want to, if we've got international listeners, I want them to be able to understand me.
That's fair. Well, we need to subtitle it.
So, any more takeaway points from that week?
Without going on an environmental rant about HS2, it's probably best to shut me up now.
Go on.
You want me to go on an environmental rant about HS2?
Just touch on it. We are in the middle of an environmental crisis, so...
Well, I mean, the main issue that environmentalists have with HS2 is that it's going to cut through a whole bunch of wetlands and protected areas that, as you've seen with Extinction Rebellion, environmentalists will fight to the death about pretty much anything they care about.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be a massive protest if you try and put a train line through like a protected area of outstanding natural beauty. It's going to be environmentalists hugging trees before you know it, and good luck chopping them trees down when you've got a person.
Tracks.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like, environmentalists are a special group of people. Like they protest like no other group, as we all know and all saw over the summer.
Yes, definitely.
I meant to ask you actually, Grace. You were saying to me before the podcast started about HS2 is planning to go right through Wakefield.
Well, I don't know if it goes through Wakefield. It goes through 5 towns.
Right.
Well, area around Wakefield.
Is it going to be close to you?
Yeah. It goes over farmers' fields, like round Normanton. If not through Normanton at some parts, I'm not sure. But it definitely cuts through farmers' fields.
How do you feel about that?
Well, this is the thing.
Looking forward to all those high-speed trains
What
out
I
your
don't
window.
understand, and this is, like I said, I don't know much about it, but I don't understand is it just connecting, is it Leeds? You can get on it at Leeds. You can get on it at Doncaster.
Mm-hmm.
Does it just go straight past Wakefield Westgate? Is it one where it won't stop? Or will you just be able to get on at Leeds?
I don't know.
Because if that's the case, if you can only get on at Leeds...
Skip out Wakey, it's fine.
No, but if you can, well, I presume that's what it's going to be. I think you can get on at Doncaster.
Right.
If that's the case, then it cuts no time off my journey.
Brilliant.
and it will go through my town.
As an avid train user as well, I'm sure you are delighted about that.
Because I can get, like I said, I can get from Wakefield Westgate to London King's Cross in an hour and 45.
Yeah.
It takes me 10 minutes to get to Wakefield Westgate Station. So, 2 hours around about to get to London.
Yeah.
If it leaves from Leeds, and that's the only place it leaves from, or even if it leaves from Doncaster, and the journey's an hour and a half, say, an hour and 20,
That connection.
still going to take me half an hour on Northern Rail trains to do an 8-mile journey into Leeds city centre.
Assuming the train's not cancelled.
Assuming the train's not cancelled. So in which case, it's taken me more time to get to HS2
Exactly.
rather than just getting on one that was going to London anyway.
It's fine, because the Leeds to London will be the fastest train you've ever taken, so stop complaining.
Oh, well, yeah, true. I should just shut up.
What was your highlight of the week, Grace?
Mine was from Marcia de Cordova. Yes, I do.
Well rehearsed before the podcast started.
Yeah, thank you. Who's in the Labour MP for Battersea, and she was talking about waiting times for kids in schools when they have learning difficulties or learning disabilities. And she was saying how atrocious it is, how long kids are having to wait to be diagnosed, whether that be with autism or dyslexia, ADHD. Yeah, it's that she was just saying we're failing children by not giving them the diagnosis on making them wait an inappropriate length of time. And as someone who's had personal experience of this, it is frustrating. I first tried to get my mum first tried to get me tested for dyslexia in high school, year 9, I want to say, and the teacher at the time who was in charge of doing it said that she was a pushy parent for trying to get me diagnosed.
Are you joking?
No.
Wow.
And my English at that point was horrendous. I could barely string a sentence together.
Not a lot's changed.
But it was really bad. It was really bad. And he said that she was a pushy parent, and I didn't go to a particularly good school.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I went to a really bad school, but my mum had to pay for tutors, and we didn't have enough money for her to be doing things like that, and she was having to bridge that gap in my education, and I'm very lucky that my mum was willing to do that for me, even though we struggled for money.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have got into university, I wouldn't have even got into college if she'd not have made that sacrifice for me. And when kids are having to wait this long for diagnosis, it's just shocking, because it can have a massive impact on your mental health as well. As you grow up,
absolutely.
Feeling that you're stupid or feeling that you're different in some way. But yeah, so that was my highlight. I think it's really important that we keep shining a light on what gaps we're missing.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially with children as well. Like, if there's ever an age to invest in somebody, it's definitely pre-18. Not that 18 is a set in stone. Like, you can't invest in somebody once past 18. But yeah, my point is, like, children are the most malleable and the most easily influenced. Like, you can't afford to not invest in kids, can you?
No, definitely not.
It's a slippery slope if you stop investing in. Like, where does it end? If it's first, it's like mental health care and stuff, and dyslexia and stuff, and where's the next cut going to come?
Exactly.
Anyway,
depressing again.
Oh boy.
So
we're going to get better at this comedy thing.
Let's move forward. Let's move forward.
Are we time traveling?
Yes. That's my impression of us
Love
time
it.
traveling.
Perfect.
So let's move forward to the 29th of Jan, which was
2 days ago.
Wednesday.
As it is every week.
Yes. So Jeremy Corbyn kicked off this week's PMQs with his little jibe. He was a lot calmer this week than he was the week before.
Taking himself a nice little chill pill.
He wasn't on his social justice campaign as much. His main things were Brexit, obviously, and the climate emergency.
Refreshing.
Well, you'd like that one. So
I can't complain.
Anyone who's bringing up anything green, Jack's all over it.
Talk to me.
He's all over it.
I'll be your best friend.
So what were your takeaways, your highlights, your weekly best bits, your absolute favourite moments ever in your life, ever?
And what have we got? Well, shout out to Caroline Lucas, who finally got a question. She's the only Green MP in Parliament. But that's not my highlight, because that'd be far too easy. I
like to challenge myself.
I really push the boat out when it comes to picking my favourite moments. So my highlight for this particular PMQs was the SNP MP for Gordon, who is called Richard Thompson. And he asked, will the PM prioritise talks with the EU to keep the UK in the Erasmus scheme, beginning in the next cycle, which is 2021-22? Because we promised our listeners we'd keep them informed about Erasmus.
We did, because it's very fitting for our audience.
Taking it on my chest to do that. That's my role in this podcast, if
you
nothing
act
else.
as though I do nothing.
That's not what I said, Grace. I don't think... That is slander. How dare you? So he asked about Erasmus. Obviously, with Brexit coming up in a matter of hours now, there is concern that, as we've mentioned before, students of generations past ours, will not be able to take time to go abroad, to go and work abroad, to go and access the EU for educational work purposes. And Boris Johnson, in a very Boris Johnson way, said that nothing will stop British students from pursuing their hopes and dreams in the EU or the world, and leaving the EU won't change that. So I'm not...
Well, this is like, we talked about this the other week.
Did Boris answer a completely different... Did he hear what Richard Thompson said? Did he just think, I can't work with that. That's not an answer. Can we ask him again?
Yeah, Boris.
Get him on the phone.
Hello, Boris.
Prime Minister, answer the question.
Yes, hello. I've been working on my Boris Johnson impression.
He's in the room. Forgot to introduce him.
Oh, yes. He did say not last week, he did say a couple of weeks ago when he was asked about Erasmus that they would be coming to some agreement on it. But again, what shape or form? I can't wait for the day. He's said repeatedly he's going to announce on HS2 if people stop being impatient. He said that to one of his own backbench MPs this week. And he's said that on talks to do with climate change. He's said that now on Erasmus.
Yeah.
Is there just going to be a day soon where he just stands up and he's like, right, guys,
I'm ready.
Right, stuff asking me questions this week. I've just got a load of shit to tell you.
PMQs is just him reading out things.
And he's just sat there with a massive shopping list, like, this is what's going down, yeah?
No questions.
No questions, just me announcing my plans.
The Boris Johnson lecture.
Yeah,
Everybody
honestly,
take note.
I feel like that's what's coming. If not, then it's just being...
I mean, it would be nice to see some detail, I think, is the point we're both getting at, isn't it? Because there's only so long you can dance around a question before you start to lose credibility. And, I mean, depending on who you asked, he's already lost credibility. But that's not my opinion, so... What was your highlight of the week, Grace?
Well, moving swiftly on from that lack of impartiality. Wow. Absolutely shocking.
Okay, all right.
My highlight was from Meg Hillier from Labour and the Cooperative MP. And her question was about GP waiting times, and she was very passionate about this.
Have you picked a theme this week?
I have. I have. I talk for the people and only for the people, Jack. Okay?
You know what? That's all I ask.
You know, you talk for the animals, I talk for the people.
Okay.
Or the trees.
That's not... Hang on. Sorry, you can't call my fans animals. I'm not going to take that. I'd like a formal apology if that's all right.
No. So, yeah, she was talking about GP waiting times. She was very passionate about it. And there was, again, a very minimal answer from Boris Johnson, who said that there is an increase in GPs in training. But Meg's question was about, fair enough, there's GPs in training, we've got that developing, but what we're going to do now to cut waiting times? And again, he didn't have much response.
Did he do his classic look at the health secretary for answers?
He didn't on this question.
Oh, really? He didn't defer to Matt Hancock?
He didn't, but he just... I just don't like the way he delivers his answers. He delivers, even to, like I said, to his own MP, turned around and told them to stop being impatient.
Yeah.
I think he just talks to everyone like they're stupid. And he kind of said to her, he was like, well, if the Right Honourable Lady would take notice of the fact that we're increasing the number of GPs in training, blah, 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 as he does.
Nailed that impression.
Thanks. But her question wasn't about that. She specifically said in her question, what are you going to do now
Yeah.
to decrease waiting times? Like, I know you've said that there's people in training, and I know that you're increasing the number of doctors and nurses, but what are you doing now to fix it?
Do you think that's just because there's nothing you can do at such short notice? Or is he just trying to avoid the question, do you think?
I don't know. I think it's just he didn't... I don't know how he plans for PMQs.
He's a professional question dodger, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
He's very good at blanket, like, we're going to do something phrases.
He full-on Irish dances around that shit. But
Irish.
now, that is an image I would like to see.
Boris Johnson doing the river dance.
Yeah.
There's a thought.
Oh,
I love that. Grace is actually trying to do the river dance under the table as we talk.
So, you know, I think we should move on to a bit of a special section. We said we were going to ramp up the comedy. And as the comedic genius out of the two of us,
Somebody has to be.
I'm going to have to take the lead on this, as always.
It is not me, I'll give you that.
I'm just pulling a dead weight constantly.
I'm
with you
sorry,
on
Anna.
this
You're
podcast.
flogging a dead horse.
So, what do you, Donald,
Donald.
what do you want to come out of the Brexit discussion, the Brexit deal?
First of all, Grace, may I say it is a delight to be here. I listen to the podcast every week. It's an absolute delight to listen to. We love it across the pond. Brexit deal, I would like to see America winning again, because this has been a very unfair relationship. We're going to send a lot of chlorinated chicken your way, and I can tell you it's absolutely safe to eat. No worries whatsoever. There's going to be a big trade deal. Everybody's going to win. It's going to be fantastic. And China are going to win as well.
China. Well, that was beautiful. I feel so honoured to be in a presence.
I can't believe we've just met the president. I really can't.
Neither
It was
can
a
I.
real honour.
Real.
His tie is like 40 inches long. It's incredible.
Longer,
All the way down to the floor and out the door.
longer than his whole body. Yeah, so what do you actually, Jacqueline, want to come out of?
Oh, you're asking me now?
Yes,
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
asking you as you, not as your
I mean, I was
alter
me
ego.
anyway, the president.
Not
the
as
president's
your
gone.
alter ego.
I don't know what you mean.
What would you like to see come out of Brexit negotiations?
It's really hard, isn't it? Because if you're asking me individually, I would like to see us try and remain as close to the EU as possible. But that's not going to happen, is it? Because the whole point of this is to get away from the EU in terms of... We're not going to be a part of the free trade agreement anymore. We're not going to be a part of free movement of people. I'd just really like to see it be painless. I'd like to see it just conducted in a civil manner. I don't know what I'm trying to say is I'd just like it to be cordial, because it's been 4 years pretty much of everybody falling out over this, and I just like there to be a nice ending to it. Is that too much to ask?
I just want a happy ending,
I just want a
everybody.
happy ending.
I just want it to be like a fairy tale.
But also not an ending that completely shuts off any prospect of getting back into the EU, because
Do you think,
that would be nice one day.
because it's in the traditions of, well, I've made it a tradition to make
Called it.
ridiculous predictions.
You heard it here first.
Do you think in our lifetime we will end up back in the EU?
I think we'll try. Probably not for a while. Probably about 40 or so years, maybe. Because it's going to take... it's going to take a long time to hash out a
It's going
trade
to
deal
take us
anyway.
40 years to get out.
Well, exactly. We're not going to have left by the time we die. I think we'll try. But it took us a long time to get in last time. It took us the best part of 20 years to get in the first time. So we might just scrape it on our deathbeds, maybe. We might just see it. Be a nice way to go out,
We
wouldn't
will
it?
die on Brexit Day Part 2.
You know what? That's fine. That's fine. I can go out happy.
My main thing, thanks for asking.
Listen, all right, you didn't even give me a chance. You just steamrolled all over me. Maybe I hadn't even finished my answer from last time, but no, it's fine. Grace is talking now, everybody.
I'm more important. Would be Erasmus. I just think it's so limiting to not have. And free movement. I mean, everybody gets sick of this country.
We were just talking before this about moving to America, weren't we?
Yeah, I've just had a bit of an identity crisis where I've spent my whole life in Yorkshire. I've been born in Yorkshire, gone to uni in Yorkshire, gone to uni again in Yorkshire, and now looking at flats to live in Yorkshire. I'm just never going to leave, and I need to leave at some point. I need to see outside of White Rose.
It does exist, believe it or not. There is a country out here, like south and north.
I know, I need to push the boat and actually go. So then I had this thing where I was like, I'm going to move to New York for a year or 2 years and just live, or hardly live, probably because it costs so much money.
Living on the edge.
Living on the edge and just, you know, push the boundaries. But you know what? If I lost my accent, I think that would be the death of me.
Can you do an American accent?
Yeah.
Go on then.
All right then. What do you want me to say? What type of American accent?
Well, like well, I mean, whatever you... can you do more than one? do you have a full repertoire of different... all 50 states? You've got them all.
You can, I'm like a Rolodex. You just... Southern Belle.
You're a jukebox, aren't you? Just scrolling through.
I am.
And
if I can do... Did you ever watch Wild Child?
I didn't.
Well, there's an American girl on that. I don't know where she's from. Somewhere near the sea in America.
Somewhere near the sea.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And she comes over to the UK and she goes, "Oh my God, those Jimmy Choos do not do rain. Is that England?
Wow. That's
It's so wet
oh my
and
God.
so green. What the beep?"
I mean, it didn't stop me from swearing earlier. I don't know.
New York. I can't do a New York.
New York's hard because it's like Boston.
New York.
New York. Yeah, we
New
can't.
Jersey.
New Jersey.
New Jersey. I can't do it, and they won't understand me. So I reckon I'm a bit more employable there because they won't know what I'm saying.
This accent gets you a long way in America, I found, when I was out there for a year. Everybody wants to talk to you because they just want to hear you talk.
But I don't sound British. My American friends say that I sound Scottish.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know why. I said I don't sound like Scotland. And she was
No,
like,
absolutely.
you don't
No.
sound. She was like, you don't sound like a English accent either. And I was like, I definitely do.
Out of the two, you're definitely more English than Scottish.
Exactly.
I don't know where Scottish is coming from.
I don't know where Scottish is coming from, but each of them has said that I sound Scottish. And I was like, you are chatting rubbish.
Well, there's a thought to end on.
Anyway.
How Scottish does Grace sound?
Paul.
We'll set one up on Twitter.
To any American ears that might be out there,
We'll set a poll up on Twitter.
do I sound more Scottish or more English? Because according to one American, I sound Scottish.
Sample of one.
So, yeah, this is a
The
very
sample of one says.
a very representative sample that says I sound Scottish.
Ah, I love it.
So I'm waiting for all those American fans to come in.
I'm sure they're out there
Heads
somewhere.
up, somewhere in the abyss.
The Donald is a fan.
Donald, do I sound Scottish? You would know. You spend a lot of time in Scotland.
Okay, that's true. If anybody knows, he will.
He will know. So, Donald, I'll be waiting on your response next week, and we'll get back to you if anybody responds
Yeah.
with an
absolutely.
answer.
Yep.
It's been lovely having your ears with us
For an extended period of time.
Yes.
If you've made it through this far, congratulations.
Well done, guys.
It's a solid effort.
We'll be back with you again next week for just your usual 20-minute snippets of PMQs. I've been Grace.
And I've been Jack and Donald.
And we'll see you next week.
This is the Out of Order podcast, cutting through the political chat.